Good afternoon and welcome to 1 p.m. Weekly News, where we bring you the latest news and stories on climate change and sustainability. I'm your host, Anton Krieger. This episode is brought to you by NextGen, your sustainability easy button from concept to completion. First up this week, multi-billion-dollar weather disasters in the United States have been continually rising over the past 2 decades. This strains the ability for the county and local officials to maintain basic level of services to residents. In response, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is introducing a new plan that will cover the costs to install solar panels on public buildings like schools, hospitals, fire stations, and libraries that need to be rebuilt after weather disasters. Heat pumps, batteries, and energy-efficient appliances will also be installed. This will allow more structures to be more resilient in the future while reducing greenhouse gases. Insurers are also starting to pull out from high-risk areas, which is putting further strain on disaster survivors. After acknowledging inadequate support for individuals and communities who have survived weather disasters, FEMA is now overhauling its programs. An athletic sportswear line has launched that is plastic-free, organic, and can decompose in a few weeks to 5 months. Scottish fashion designer Patrick Grant has created a new sportswear line called Organic Athletic that doesn't include typical non-biodegradable, oil-based synthetic plastic materials such as polyester, nylon, and polyurethane. Plastic and synthetic fibers have been used in sportswear for decades for stretchability, waterproofing, and thermal protection capabilities. But now the oil-based materials are breaking down into microplastics that are getting into the world's oceans, soils, and living creatures, including humans. One study estimates that a person eats 5 grams of microplastics every week on average, or about the same as a credit card. According to a 2023 survey, 1,500 people from the UK, United States, and Switzerland, 54% of respondents were unaware of potential toxins that live in synthetic sportswear, and 72% said they prefer plastic-free sportswear if available. Patagonia, the outdoor apparel company, has used $71 million of its earnings since 2022 to support environmentally related causes. In 2022, Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard, and his family announced that all the company's future profits would be used to protect the environment and combat climate change. Considering a new model for how wealthy people can approach philanthropy, Patagonia has set up a series of trusts, limited liability corporations, and charitable groups that distributes all of its profits. The nonprofits are registered as 501c4s, which means they can make unlimited political donations, provided that their primary purpose benefits society. Through Patagonia's nonprofit organizations, the company has protected 162,710 acres of wilderness throughout the world. Examples include the advocacy for state laws that prohibit oil and gas operations near residential neighborhoods, conservation efforts in Chile and in Argentina, and also efforts to protect the Vioja River in Albania and Bristol Bay in Alaska. Almost 1 year ago, there was a catastrophic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, that released large plumes of carcinogenic materials that include vinyl chloride. In a new report issued by environmental research and advocacy group called Toxic Free Future, U.S. railway system routes that carry vinyl chloride were mapped out. The path typically begins with chemical plants in Texas and ends with factories in New Jersey. Along those 2,000 miles, approximately 200 train cars a day carry vinyl chloride through major population centers, with people of color making up large portions in some locations. The EPA is looking at proposals for safer hazardous material transport, better emergency responder training, and more inspections. There have been 1,500 train derailment in the past 11 months since the East Palestine disaster, according to AFL-CIO's Transportation Trades Department President Greg Regan. The story of the week is brought to you by Batricity, your energy storage partner. Canary Media reports that the capacity for batteries that are connected to the American grid have doubled each year for the last 4 years, with strong growth expected to continue. The U.S. grid will jump from 17.3 gigawatts at the end of 2023 to a 31.1 gigawatts by the close of 2024, a projected 80% growth. A few years ago, doubling storage capacity meant adding just 1 gigawatt. In 2024, the industry is expecting 14 gigawatts because batteries are having success shifting the electricity supply from times of surplus to times of scarcity so that the demand can be met at peak times. Batteries are getting a lot cheaper, with global prices falling 14% in 2023 to a record low of $139 per kilowatt hour. If prices continue to fall, it's expected that the industry will achieve $100 per kilowatt hour in just a few years, which should help propel growth. Those are the latest top-line stories from the sustainability universe. Please join us again next week for a new episode of 1 PM Weekly News.